maybe there should be an RTS game in the upper echelon of esports. More broadly, I'm curious from you guys what games that you think or what genres are actually missing from some of the bigger esports in general. So obviously we have things like Battle Right coming up, which is pretty popular. It's kind of like that arena style game, and I don't know if it'll be an esport or not, but it's I think it's kind of subtly sneaking up. We have other games. StarCraft was a thing for a while. Unfortunately, we make a lot of unfortunate jokes about it being a dead game, but there does seem to be like a trend in that going away. So there's, in my opinion, a lot of space for an RTS. That's what I would pick for a genre that is missing. Is now that StarCraft's gone, we need to fill that. But I'm curious from you guys if you think RTS is it, or if there's other genres that are missing out there. I'm just kind of curious.
I would like to see something like either, I think WoW kind of tried to do this a bit with the arena style stuff, or even Diablo, like where people build up their characters, they build up or customize like what gear set they go into battle with, and they have like an order of moves that they use to go into battle with and see how they go against other players.
So like a MOBA.
Kind of like a MOBA, but for one person.
Okay.
But
so
like,
one-on-one.
One person
one-on-one
just
MOBA.
standing alone in a room with a
But
bunch
it's
of
like
gear.
there's no like MOBAs insinuate that there's lanes, there's like map awareness,
Okay.
like all
There
that
has to be
stuff.
at
This
least
should be like
one
in a
lane.
small arena.
So does Battle Right
Right?
should fill that, right? I mean, I
I've
guess
not
it's not
played
one-on-one.
Battle
Okay, yeah. So it's very similar to what you're talking about. It's not one-on-one. It's more 2v2 or 3v3.
okay.
But you pick a character, you go into the arena, and you duke it out over a couple different rounds.
No, enough of the team-based. I think it should be one-on-one.
Okay.
We need a one-on-one.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest with myself, the answers are going to be Dark Souls, because I adore Dark Souls.
Is there an esports version of Dark
PvP.
Souls? Okay,
There's no esports versions of Dark Souls.
explain.
PvP.
Yeah, explain to me how this would work.
I mean, you take the Dark Souls mechanics and you turn it into a competitive game, much like the PvP elements of Dark Souls.
Is this like my Uber for esports VC pitch, where I just say that you just take Uber and esports and combine them?
No, not
No.
quite.
Okay.
What are we even
Because
you're just saying Dark Souls.
There's PvP in
No,
Dark Souls.
Okay.
So
And
Dark
so you take the
Souls
PvP from Dark Souls, and you
turn
turn it into its own
esport.
thing.
So I'm
see what I'm
getting
saying?
where Taylor's going, and I think this is also maybe where Zareen was going a little bit too. When you talk about some of these, I guess, MMOs or just I don't know. I think Guild Wars esports might be based around this too, but it's this idea of like you take a game like an MMO or an RPG or even Dark Souls, which really isn't either one of those things, but more of an action game, and maybe For Honor coming up might fit this mold,
Yeah.
but you
Oh, yeah,
have
that's
For Honor is
fun.
cool.
PvP 1v1 PvP sort of game where it's you just throw these two people in an arena and they duke it out, and whoever comes out on top wins.
So is this like a bit of an expansion on? Could you argue this is a bit of an expansion on a fighting game? Because it's more like a 3D fighting game.
It's similar concepts. If you've ever played For Honor, there's a lot of I guess rock paper scissors sort of concept to the gameplay, which isn't all that different from fighting games. But yeah, I mean, I think the idea is similar. Me personally, I'd like to see more stuff. I'm always intrigued by the games done quick stuff, a lot of the speedrun stuff. But there's some things they do in there like Tetris battles, whatever. But I know we kind of joke around about it around the office. But Catherine, I love watching Catherine as an
Competitive
esport.
Catherine. Yeah, competitive Catherine is super, super cool.
Okay,
if
so
people wanna
again,
watch that.
I need somebody to explain this to me because I've only seen a little bit of Catherine. I think a lot of our viewers probably it's kind of like an obscure indie game, right?
Well, obscure indie is not really, I think.
Okay,
doing
just
it
about
justice.
indie.
No, it's not
Okay,
indie.
well, just
either.
obscure.
It's a
obscure.
Japanese game. It's relatively obscure.
Yeah.
Basically, the concept behind it is, or at least the competitive side of it is it's like a Pushmo kind of game. If
Yeah.
you ever played Pushmo on the 3DS, where you're climbing a tower and you have to like pull out blocks in order to climb on top of them, but some of the blocks have spikes on them, blah blah blah. But there's a two-player element where you're climbing the same tower simultaneously. You knock each other off and get each other killed. It's really, really fun to watch and like really, really complicated. And I think it's actually gaining a little bit of an audience.
Yeah.
Michael?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Actually, it has similar concepts to fighting games, footsies, just kind of like stage awareness and things like that. It's been at some pretty major tournaments. Atlas actually helped sponsor the EVO tournament last year. I can't remember if they sponsored the tournament this year, but it was also at CEO Taku, I think the last 2 years, and it's going to be at Genesis 4 in January next year.
There you go. For a game that's so old, that's quite impressive.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
like 4 years old, I think.
I mean, one of the things, I mean, we started talking about this from an RTS perspective. I do really think that the space deserves that kind of build up armies and attack thing that we really, I mean, StarCraft was how I got into the space. And so so much of this conversation is that, but as we've kind of moved on, I'm also really curious, what do you guys think about the tower defenses where you used to be able to send stuff to other people?
So like, oh god, what was that game that was
Like
the
malls, winter
reverse?
malls and all that stuff.
There was a game that was reverse tower defense. It was like you, oh god,
You're the one who goes through the pathways?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm spacing on it right now, and
yeah.
this is gonna make for great television.
Yeah, well, so
They just
tower
did a
defense
new
game.
Warcraft.
What's it? Yeah, just how about just all the custom games in Warcraft? Murder at Sleepy Town, etc. All esports. All right, either way, let's move on.